It looks like the perfect storm. 3 crises. The war in Ukraine still hangs over one of the world's major grain exporting regions. The war involving Iran has disrupted energy, shipping and fertilizer markets. And a strong El Niño is developing, threatening drought in some places and a washout in others. Put those together and a new global hunger spike may seem inevitable. But it has not happened. At least, not yet. Food prices are nearly 20% below their 2022 peak. That doesn't mean food is cheap. Prices are still well above pre-pandemic levels. International food prices rose after the Hormuz disruption, but nowhere near as dramatically as in 2022. And by June, they'd begun easing again. Why?
We are seeing improvements in agricultural productivity, for example, in India, across Latin America. These have helped sustain food production and reduce undernourishment. And this is balancing some of the localized impacts of conflict.
The world brought in the biggest grain harvest in history last year. This year's is expected to be slightly smaller at just under 3 billion tons, but still the second largest ever. And the world has a buffer. Global cereal stocks are forecast to reach almost 958 million tons. The stock-to-use ratio, which measures how much food is left over, is 32%, near record levels. Grain has kept moving. Not only has Ukraine managed to keep exporting even when under fire, but prices have actually fallen because they've exported so much. As for El Niño, it's expected to impact harvests due to extreme weather, so the prices of some foods will go up as a result. When weather damage remains regional, other major producers can often compensate. Though that becomes harder if several growing regions are hit simultaneously, or if governments restrict exports. But all that does not mean hunger is under control. The UN's Food and Agriculture Organization says 266 million people are facing acute hunger. That number has stayed fairly stable.
So the issue is not of availability, the issue is of distribution when we refer to calories. So we have enough calories in the world produced to feed everybody. The problem is that those calories are not distributed in the same way across the world, and that's the challenge.
The worst hunger is, of course, where those global grain supplies cannot reach. Just 10 countries accounted for 2/3 of the people facing acute hunger in the food crisis countries assessed by the UN.
War is destroying local food sources, it's displacing millions of people, it's damaging infrastructure and severely restricts humanitarian access. And in some hotspots, such as Sudan and Gaza, for example, we are seeing that hunger is increasingly being used as a weapon of war.
Conflict in places like Gaza and Sudan can block markets and access to humanitarian assistance. Displacement can destroy incomes and local production, meaning global warehouses can be full, while individual families have nothing to eat. And while the geopolitical conflicts have not blocked global supplies yet, there's a risk they could spin out of control. Just take one risk hiding in plain sight: fertilizer. Around 1/3 of the global seaborne fertilizer trade passes through the Strait of Hormuz. Some farmers are paying substantially more, delaying purchases, or switching to crops that require less fertilizer. If they ultimately apply less, yields could suffer in the next harvest.
So the compound effect of a significant increase on all the input prices that are needed for agriculture because of the Strait of Hormuz closure, where 20 to 30% of the inputs come from, plus a potential stress of extreme temperatures or flooding, could create a very complex situation by the end of this year and next year.
So the buffers held. This time, record harvests, deep stockpiles and rerouted trade have stopped a triple crisis from becoming a global food shock. The latest UN figures show that global hunger was actually falling before these new shocks fully arrived, but the effect is delayed. The UN also estimates that the Middle East conflict alone could leave millions more people hungry by 2030, and that projection does not yet include the effects of El Niño. The perfect storm has not yet produced a global food shock, but it has not passed either. If the oil price leaps again and stays high due to the conflict in Iran, if grain exports from Ukraine are successfully blockaded, if El Niño bites harder into next year's crops while farmers are already planting less, Or if all those happened at once, then we could be facing a spike in global hunger. But don't forget, regardless of those shocks, for millions of people, especially in conflict zones, the food crisis never went away.